For a minute, you didn't think I was showing up, right? Well, the Browns didn't, so why should I? Welcome to the post-game show with the final score, and who cares? I'm just going to continue on where I started at halftime. First of all, when I'm saying tear it down to the studs, it's a reference. A lot of people just saying, well, we don't have good players, and that's exactly the point. We have to clear the entire front office out completely top to bottom. Their assessment of talent is horrific. The drafting is horrific. The only thing Andrew Berry can do is he can do the money stuff. But DePodesta and all of that crew, they need to be gone, completely replaced. And we can't get rid of Jimmy Haslam, but the structure that he has created has been a failure. As far as bringing quality players in, it has been a complete failure. So it's unfortunate, and the game ends as it should have, with Cedric Tillman dropping a pass right in his breadbasket. You can't really bring about any decisions on this quarterback or that quarterback when you clearly have no wide receivers on the field. They can't get open. They weren't blitzing, and even when they were, they couldn't separate from man coverage, single coverage. Amari Cooper has no speed left. He has some really good hands. But you saw the play where he went downfield where Amari got hurt and couldn't play the fourth down play, which led to Cedric Tillman dropping the pass. Why was Jerry Jeudy just standing there? See, I notice things that maybe other people don't notice. It's like if you're throwing to a wide receiver, two guys can't be within 3 yards of one another, with one fighting like hell for the ball, the other one having a cup of coffee. That can't be the case. So, it's a real simple thing, and nobody wants to hear it, but it's the way it is. The Cleveland Browns lack talent. They're not any good. They are, in fact, the worst team in their division. That's what it is. They don't have personnel. They've let people get old and long in the tooth so that injuries have become a massive, massive issue. No young people to play behind them who have any quality or caliber. You've got no running backs. They knew that Nick Chubb was not going to be able to play, and they didn't bring anybody in. They don't play Deontay Foreman. They just keep playing Jerome Ford, and he fumbled the game away. We had a chance to actually win that atrocity, but it didn't happen. And the reason it didn't happen was because Jerome Ford couldn't take a simple handoff. It's just, I've never seen a team decimated this much. And I don't mean just injuries. I mean lack of talent. It has been destroyed from within by the owner and the management of this team. I don't understand the play calls. I don't understand if you're going to do a third down, Jameis Winston quarterback sneak. Then fourth down, you have a pass run option, and the receivers are never open. There is no option. Deshaun Watson should have just taken off and run the ball because there was no chance to get anything down the field passing, and there won't be for the rest of the year. There's no chance. They can't get open. The scheme, the players, the whole 9 yards. Ken Dorsey has to ship back to wherever he's from, because whatever it is he knows they're not using or the players on the field are incapable of using, it is a complete decimation of an organization. You couldn't have done a better job. Huh?
There's a reason Buffalo fired him. Look how good Josh Allen did since they got rid of him.
Yep. I mean, the bottom line is this. You had every chance to win a game that you absolutely deserved to lose. And you didn't do it. I see that John is backstage. Hi, John. How you doing?
How you doing, Lou?
Oh, well, I've certainly been better.
Yeah, me too.
But it isn't for me to say. I mean, basically, this is, Haslam's way of making a ton of money and putting a shit product on the field. What I would urge Browns fans to do is stop going to the games, empty stadium, and make him pay for his own fucking new stadium. Fuck him. There is no knowledge of how to run this business, and I've come to the conclusion that it's not worth covering them. You know what it would be like? I don't know if you're not in northeastern Ohio. There is a restaurant called Melt.
Yes.
And Melt is a toasted grilled cheese sandwich for $20. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the premise. It's like a grilled cheese sandwich for $20. And they wonder why it hasn't worked out. And now they're all going out of business. Same with Tom and Chi, out of business. Now, why would anyone think, oh, what a novel idea to create a grilled cheese sandwich for $20?
I'm hungry.
I am looking at a $20 grilled cheese sandwich with the Cleveland Browns. Nobody wants to see this. Nobody wants to consume this product. Nobody really wants to pay for it either. And that's what we have is a bad owner, a bad team. And we built something briefly, and there was no idea of sustainability in the process. And, yes, Tori, the season is over. For me, it's over. I'm finished. I don't want to see this because it's a bad business. It's no different than Hugh Jackson, except Hugh Jackson is the front office. If you're telling me that the best players that you can put on that field are the wide receivers and the running backs we have on the field, and I'll tell you something else. All of the offensive linemen got injured. Then why was the protection actually better when Jedrick Wills went down? When the guys who were the alleged starters that we were waiting for went down? Because we have bad football players. The guys who used to be good aren't good anymore because their bodies are broken and their will is broken. And you can see that the team spirit is gone. When you looked at the beginning of the game and you saw Neighbors run a simple, unaccosted pattern into the end zone, and McLeod just stood there, gave him the middle of the end zone. Who covers that way? How in the hell can you put them in a situation where they're only down 14-7 and you're not going to, you don't have enough time? Just run the fucking clock out. Just get into the locker room and make your adjustments. But no, Kevin Stefanski can't do that. And look what ended up happening. They got the ball and they moved it right into the end zone, and it became 21-7, which was an unbeatable number for this football team. Bad decisions. I mean, sometimes you just take your losses and say, okay, we're only down a touchdown. We're getting the ball at the beginning of the second half. We better figure out what we're changing and what we're doing different this time. Because what we came out with, and I want to point something else out about Jim Schwartz and why he needs to go too. And I mean it. I mean, goodbye. Done with him completely. You have a quarterback and you come out in that same maniacal, crazy, overcommitting, reckless defense, and you allow that little prick cocksucker of a quarterback to complete 80% of his passes, because all the little cocksucker had to do was throw the ball 3 yards into the flat. All he had to do was hand the ball off, and Singletary would run the other way from the influence blocking and get yardage. He never held on to the ball long enough for the Browns blitz to be anything, and they did something that the Browns didn't do until the second half. They ran screen passes. Hello. So what could be worse than having an overcommitting defense and a team that's so prepared and ready for what you're going to do that Brian Daboll, the most strapped mentally that we've seen when he was in Cleveland and since in his career, outthinks Jim Schwartz, who's a Cro-Magnon, who doesn't have a big enough brain, who goes in and does the same fucking thing that he did with the Texans, the same fucking thing that he did with the Cowboys, with the same fucking result. He's a one-trick pony. And they finally toned it down in the second half. And they stopped with the blitzing. How many points did the Giants get in the second half? I can't hear you. How many points? Dunkin' Donut. That's how many points. If we start out the game making Daniel Jones beat us, you can't allow Gomer Pyle, Jim Neighbors to beat you. You can't allow their one player to beat you. You can't allow him to throw 3 and 4 and 5 yard passes into the flat that there's no way won't be caught. And you're out there on an island, one-on-one against running backs. Go ahead.
Can I say something in defense of the defense? They haven't allowed a touchdown in the second half in any of the games.
So they've lost 2 out of 3 games because they come out in the wrong defense every time. This is what he does. He needs to be replaced. He's stubborn and he's a moron. You can't keep getting the same result from last year to this year. The defense was great, remember, when it was a surprise in the beginning of last year through the middle of the year. But as the season progressed, people said, wait a minute, this guy's doing the same thing over and over again. This guy's like Corky from Life Goes On. He doesn't think real good. So he just reverts to the same thing. This was the biggest gift that we could have given the city of New York, really, to allow that quarterback to not hold on to the ball. You saw what happened when he held on to the ball. He actually threw one pass that, I don't know, we just didn't intercept because Newsom was in the neighborhood and he never catches anything. And except COVID, there's nothing else that he can catch.
Or the one where Emerson, fucking Neighbors barely jumps above him. Emerson just with his fucking hands.
Yeah,
instead of trying to read the pass.
Right now, the attitude of the players is so bad, they have to clean house. And you can't clean a house 53 roster, but you can clean the house of the front office, and you can clean the house of the defensive coordinator. You can just clean the house of those folks. As far as I'm concerned, they should not have jobs because they're not thinking. They're not adjusting from week to week. They're just doing the same thing over and over again. I mean, oh my goodness, and Bronk, I would put Jameis Winston in now. I've seen enough. It doesn't matter. Let Watson go wherever he wants to go and give him away for free because we're not using him. I mean, what's the point of running him into deep drops when they're blitzing the entire front line and refusing to do what any normal team would do, which would be to keep some men in and to run some draw plays, to run some screen passes, just to back them off a little. Or maybe we want him to get hurt. I don't know, but I'll save you the trouble. Don't hurt him. Just release him. Eat it. Just eat it. Eat it. Eat it. He makes so much money anyway, and I don't mean Watson, I mean Haslam. So what? Eat the money, you little prick. It was your decision to bring him in, and you haven't run a system or given him receivers or players around him. You haven't given him running backs. You haven't given him receivers. You let your offensive line grow old. Nobody is going to win under that circumstance. Let him go someplace where he could win. And I guarantee you, he will win. He'll go somewhere, and people will finally understand it ain't him. Although he's dumb as shit. It ain't him. It's the organization. It's the ownership and the front office and all of that. Yeah, S is saying, this game is demoralizing. I truly thought they could have won against an inferior team. Well, you would thought, but no, we didn't do a screen pass until the fourth quarter of the game, Tom, and it's just amazing. And they were trying to hand us the game. The Giants came out in the second half and said, we're going to get conservative. And it's like, that's the Brian Daboll I know. Wrong decision. So, I think Watson anywhere with speedy wideouts would be fun to watch. But nobody's, let Jameis Winston play. Let him play the rest of the year. Serious. He's big, he's strong, he can take more punishment, and there's no reason. I mean, they're not going to do it because Jimmy Haslam, I mean, you can see his fingernails in the money. He clings to it so hard, the little cocksucker. He just clings to that money. Goddamn racist pig. I don't like Jimmy Haslam. From the moment that the Flying Pilot J stuff went down, I don't like this guy because he's a lousy businessman. He just acquired everything from his daddy. That's all he is. Nothing more. And he just can't make decisions that are normal. He brings in DePodesta, a baseball guy. What has DePodesta done to deserve to remain in this front office for that long? I just don't get it. And here's Big Lurker. We can always count on Big Lurker UK. Obviously, very, very disappointing to play like we did. Very disappointed. That's not good enough from a player standpoint, from a coaching standpoint. Then quit. Step down. We'll clear you out too. You keep saying it's not good enough. It's obvious you can't do better with the players you've been given. You got to go somewhere, Kevin, where they're going to give you players. That's real simple. And as for you, Kevin, totally unacceptable. A 3rd and 1 quarterback sneak and then putting in a pass run option play. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I'm just, I'm playing around here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have the devil in me, folks. I really want to give the people who've taken the time to come to this program something that they can laugh about after this horrendous game. And there it is. Holy cannoli. Mouth agape. Oh.
John okay?
I don't know. It's like, let's count sheep. 1, 2.
Is he having a health moment? Like
No, I don't know. He's fast asleep.
There he is.
Good morning, sweetie.
Yeah.
You've been full screen sleeping for a minute. Congratulations.
I'm thinking.
Oh my gosh. He was really sleeping. Yeah.
Contemplating.
Mm-hmm. So, Kevin Stefanski, I know we can be better and we will be better. Nobody's going to be there to watch it, Kevin. Nobody's going to be there to watch your stupid lousy.
He knows they can't be. What do people want him to say?
Yeah, it's done. It's over with. He's got nothing to work with. He's got to go somewhere else where he'll have an opportunity to win. I mean, he's proven he can win as a head coach. Make no mistake. He's proven that.
Coach
And so
Stefanski's blaming the game on the late fumble on the handoff.
Well, sure. If they ever had, and the Steelers won, the undefeated Steelers
again.
Yep.
And Justin Fields looked great.
Yep.
Herbert went out. That's why.
And I just want to point out to, and this is going to become known as the cocksucker show. All right. I do want to share this with you that, and I'm going to a box score here. All right. And I think it's important that you see that Baker Mayfield lost to the fucking Broncos at home, 26-7. Fucking eat me. Every one of you people who said this shit, eat me. Go down on my groin, okay? And slurp it up.
Honey, would you leave the room, please?
No. I'm here to stay.
I don't want you to hear this.
Oh, that's absolutely
pull up CJ Stroud's stats.
Yeah, Stroud looked terrible too.
Well, I mean, Big Ounce is going to hear my wrath too, but he'll hear it on Twitter. It's like you gotta play the games before you can say how great you are. And all of this talk about the Cleveland Browns, we're going to be bigger and better this year and this Super Bowl year. It's like, you've got to be kidding me. And the same thing is true with everyone who said this stuff about Baker Mayfield. He can't put 2 good weeks together back to back to save his soul. Never has been able to, and he does it at home where he lets everybody down. He ends up sucking the big moose. That's what he does. And he threw another interception. He was sacked 7 times. He held on to the ball too long. And you know something? The Tampa Bay Bucks made Bo Nix look good, just like we made Daniel Jones look good. Amazing, ain't it? Oh, here's Stephen Rose. Hey, Stephen Rose. Hey, how you doing, man?
Not too good. We lost 34-7, and my quarterback's injured.
Stroud's injured?
Yeah, he's got a messed up leg now.
Oh,
good. And the reason I say good is not for him, because obviously I like CJ Stroud. Yeah. But all the Texan fans who were bad-mouthing the Cleveland Browns, thanks for giving us the Super Bowl. Thanks for giving us all our draft picks and our team. Thanks. The owner of the team said that, the stupid woman. She said that publicly. And I was talking to Big Ounce back and forth. I really like Big Ounce. He's a good fan. And I said to him, you're one hit away from disaster. And nobody believes me. Nobody believes me. This is football. It's a man's game, and people get hurt all the time. How bad did he hurt his leg?
It was bad enough, but D'Amico kept him out there until like 4 minutes in the game, which was stupid. I mean,
then he's not hurt. Then he's not hurt that bad.
Well, he was hurt enough in the fourth quarter where he was hobbling on one leg, and they should have yanked him then at the beginning.
They should have.
And D'Amico said, "Oh, we can still come back." They kept him out there like an idiot. And I mean, I'm not saying that's D'Amico's fault, but it's just still when you see your guy injured in a game, it's already over. Just pull him out, dude.
Yeah, and I need you to give me some new hobbies. Help me not to care anymore.
Bodad, masturbation.
It's time for Dr. Phil. Well, I can tell you something. You need to stop watching these games. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Vikings beat us so bad that they were using their rookie kicker to kick field goals to see if he could make them from like 40-something plus yards, and he doinked it and made it. And then they didn't even give us any garbage time points. They were still playing us at 100%, even at the final drive when Davis was driving the ball down on the Minnesota side of the field. We got it to their 10, and they were still playing us as if they were down or the game was tied. It was crazy. You know?
It's an eye-opening thing when you see that your team is vulnerable and not as good as you think they are. And we know it so many decades that, no, the Steelers are the best organization in the National Football League. Just admit it. Maybe you won't admit it to yourself, but admit it on this program. If they're 3-0, believe me, they're the best organization, and Tomlin knows what he's doing. He stays with what he's doing, and it works.
Mr. Moohead, even during Tomlin's worst years, they're still 500 or a little bit.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Here's more from. I want to see more from. Yep, we figured this. Yeah. Myles Garrett's going to have an MRI. He's gone. Let's see if I can find anything out. There was one thing I was looking for. Here we go. They did a nice job. They pressured our quarterback early. We didn't do a good enough job in a bunch of different areas to negate that pressure. Well, that play calling would be the first one. If you see that a team who previously, Kevin, Mr. Ivy League, comes out and they don't usually blitz like this, but every play they are showing blitz. You got to change the scripted plays, you dummy. You're just going to let your quarterback just get torched, and that's what he did. So,
actually what I think, Moo, is he won't call out the offensive line, and that's the problem. Well, what's he going to do? He's got no offensive line.
Yeah, and that is, but the reason they don't have an offensive line is they stayed with old men for too long.
Yeah.
And this is what the organization deserves.
Yeah.
And
but that was the problem today with the offense. And it's been the problem all year.
James Prochet is running in mud, Bronk. For goodness sakes. That man is the slowest punt returner I've ever seen in my life. But he's got good hands. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We have no speed. We never have speed. Here, this is what I wanted to see. There's no excuse. It's a simple handoff. We have to be able to execute that. You're not going to win games when you do stuff like that. Really?
That's what I was referring to.
God, it's just
It sounds like a third person viewpoint. Like he's saying it from ESPN or something.
And and now Wills wasn't even on the field, but DeJuan Jones was worse than Wills. Yeah. I don't know what DeJuan Jones was doing out there. He just looked like he was not moving.
Saying that Stefanski's saying his knee injury was acting up on him.
Who said that?
Stefanski said that.
That DeJuan Jones' knee. Well, he couldn't.
Yeah, his knee injury was acting up.
Yeah, so why was he in there? They kept keeping these guys in long enough to destroy their chances to win. They actually blocked better when all of those idiots were out of the game. But Tonio moved out, and he's an old man, and he moved out to left tackle, and they got better. And they had a chance. If it weren't for that fumble, they were at midfield. And I how many times have you seen the Giants figure out a way to lose? It was all there. It was all in front of them. And you knew if they took the lead, that Daniel Jones wouldn't be able to lead them back down the field. He ain't Moses. You know what I mean? He dies in the desert. That's Daniel Jones. We never made him play. We just let him on autopilot just throw little dink and dunks out to the flat and let that beat us. Unbelievable.
I mean, but did y'all expect this to be any differently before this week heading into this game? I knew this was going to be like this in this game. It was going to be two of the worst teams in the NFL. just going heads up. It's like Giants in the Commanders game. It was like same thing.
Wait a sec. Bronk is asking, is Trevor Lawrence hurt or really hurt? I don't know.
No, he's not hurt.
Oh, he's referring to Steven talked about CJ, and remember last year when Trevor Lawrence got
hurt. Well,
yeah.
If he left him in, he shouldn't have, but he'll be back on the field next week. But I mean, it's a very good thing to get your ass kicked because they walking around that fan base and that ownership thinking their shit doesn't stink.
Yeah.
And wake up call. You got to be serious. If it were easy to win the Super Bowl, everybody do it. It's just not easy to do.
I got humbled today, definitely. I had us beating the Vikings the same score that they beat us.
Big Lurker's newest quote is fantastic. You gotta put it up on the screen.
Yeah, I will. I'm going to have an MRI too. I'm going to have my head examined for doing this program. Let's see if I can find it.
Is Sam Darnold looking like Geno Smith?
Is this what you're referring to, Tony?
No, at 342. That's the latest one. It's the latest comment in the chat. Browns coach Kevin Stefanski. Wyatt Teller, James Hudson III, and my brain will also let MRIs later. He made a fake.
There you go.
Oh,
all right, I see. That's funny. And I didn't miss James Hudson III. He's the only guy who consistently, when he's in offensive blocking mode, he's facing his own end zone. If they put a camera in the end zone, his own end zone, you would see his face clearly and everyone else would be blocking and he would be turned the wrong way. I don't know. James Hudson can't play. DeJuan Jones can't play. It's just bad. Zach Zinter at least has a reason. I don't know what the reason for DeJuan Jones is. These guys and Jedrick Wills, these people were people who were well regarded. And if they're not ready to play, they shouldn't be on the field. If a guy's crippled. And poor GJ Brobot. See, he's with you. He's with you, John. He slept through the rest of the game. Yeah, that's
Moohead. Y'all got the Raiders next week, who had just beaten the Ravens on the road. I didn't see that coming.
The Ravens lost again.
Well,
they're
playing
the
now.
Cowboys right now.
Oh,
They're up 7-0.
Yeah, I did.
They're not going to lose again.
Well, the Raiders are probably 2-1 because they're going to beat the Panthers today. They should. They're at home. But you guys are playing Oakland next week, or Vegas. But
yeah, it's this is just very hard for me to fathom. And again, I say this because the thing that bothers me the most, I mean, you lose games, you win games, but being inept from a management perspective, I don't understand poorly run businesses. And I especially don't like poorly run businesses that take advantage of municipalities and make a ton of money at the expense of their customers and do nothing to improve the product.
absolutely,
I have absolutely no good feelings about that.
that's what's happening.
And I guess I can't see beyond the shadow that I cast that way. I can't get over it. I can't cheer for a team I can't cheer for a business that's so badly run, and it's run by a crook. It's owned by a crook, and he's stealing people's money. And now he's going to double and triple dip with a dome. Forget it. Let him move out of town. You don't need football this much, folks. You really don't. And the second you realize that, and the municipality knows that, then he can't do this shit anymore. He'll be just like Melt and Tom and Chi, and he'll go out of business.
And Muhead, don't when they build a new stadium, don't usually owners try to squeeze money out of the taxpayers of the city?
Oh, yeah.
To pay for that
sure.
stadium.
It's a rite
Instead
of
of
passage.
I never understood that. It's like you're a billionaire, you can pay for it yourself, you know?
Well, the Ohio taxpayer will be paying for 75 to 80% of that stadium, and Haslam will fork over a couple bucks. And
By the way, I disagree with DJ Bro.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, he has no players. At this point, I mean, I have never in my life, I swear to God, our receivers have super glue on their uniforms.
Yeah.
There isn't this much space between them. And then when Watson makes a perfect throw, Cedric Tillman lets it hit him in his gut and fall out. What is that? As far as I'm concerned, I never want to see Cedric Tillman again. I don't want to see it. I saw it enough with Anthony Schwartz. I've seen it enough. And running the wrong pattern, Elijah Moore, get rid of them. Just get rid of these people. You can't find worse. They got bad attitudes, and they just don't work hard. Cedric Tillman was supposedly, working so hard in the offseason. Yeah, we've really seen it. He can't. He's the only big wide receiver we have, size-wise. And he can barely find the field with the lousy talent that's out there. And Elijah Moore never did anything in New York, and he's never going to do anything anywhere else. He can't catch the ball. He runs wrong patterns. His head's not in the game. And a lot of people will cheer when I say, I want Watson to leave. But I want Watson to leave so he can succeed somewhere else, so I can shove it up your ass again like I'm doing with Baker Mayfield. That's why I want him to go, because he will succeed somewhere else. But you got to give him something to work with. And the same thing's true with Stefanski. You got to give him something to work with. He just doesn't have anybody.
So would you rather see Winston in next week, or would you rather stay with Watson?
Yep. I don't want to see Watson play for Cleveland ever again. Nope. I don't want him to get hurt. Nope. Jameis Winston's the backup. Let him play.
Yeah, I'm as quick as you with that.
Just ride it out.
Yep. I get him in there too.
And
I think the reason why they don't want to bench Watson, because I think Stefanski's on kind of like his last straw. And I think by pulling a Watson out, a guy that you acquired all these trade picks for, right, the organization, you have to kind of stick with that gun. And I think that's kind of like
he's a two-time coach of the year. Kevin Stefanski will have no problem finding a job with an organization that will provide him with decent players. Nobody will ever succeed. Nobody will ever succeed in Cleveland. Nobody with Jimmy Haslam as the owner. It will never happen.
Yeah. Haslam forced Watson on him and probably threatened to fire everybody if they didn't go along with it.
That's
but by benching Watson, though, wouldn't they be admitting defeat? And that's like something they don't want to do, right? From a PR move.
It can't be worse than the defeat they just had here. Defeat is defeat. Defeat is defeat. You're not any good. We know it. What do they say? What is the saying that they said? Oh, the emperor has no clothes. That would be the saying. Anyone with eyes can see that the team isn't good.
Yeah, Watson looks like he doesn't want to be there.
No, and I wouldn't want to be there either. And I don't want him to play because I don't want him giving up the rest of his career for this nonsense. The women who sued him got their money. Let him get his money and move on, just like they did. Move on. You'll never have to hear from them again. Just move on.
Bad contracts are made all the time. Just let them go and wash your hands and clean them and start all over.
Yep. And that's how I feel. So we all end up in the same place. You're happy because you don't have Deshaun Watson. I'm happy that Watson will get to play somewhere else, and we're all happy with the same result. You got Jameis Winston, I bet you could call the Colts up and you can get Joe Flacco back for you guys too, and then you'll pay for a new dome.
Because I think what it is from Haslam, he doesn't want Watson gone because he was the one that put Watson and gave the all in on it. it would be looking defeat on his part. He wants to show all the blame off on him and kind of put it on the coaching staff and say, well, I put the pieces there. It's just a coaching staff problem. And I think
I mean, look what Keith's saying here. I don't think you can move on from Watson yet. Well, that you don't have an offense that he can play in. What's the point of keeping him? You know what that's like? That would be like you get Aaron Judge as your designated hitter, except you sever one of his arms. Why would you do something like that? I mean, what doesn't make sense is the organization. And yes, the trade is a failure already. Of course it is. That's Jimmy Haslam. And now he's bringing everything else down around him. I don't want Watson to go down with him. I want him to get his money and have a career. I'm in favor of the player, not the management.
Yeah,
That's how I feel.
I kind of disagree with you there. They wanted to move on from Baker. I get it, but you and I both feel the same way about Baker. And I think what they tried to do is get one of the better quarterbacks it used to be in the league. So I think they wanted to really, improve themselves. So it hasn't worked out, but that's what they wanted to do.
Well, that's what he wanted to do, just like he wanted Johnny Manziel, just like he wanted Hugh Jackson, just like he wanted.
Yeah.
Every decision he's made has been a bad decision. And they're going to continue to be bad decisions. And if you're foolish enough to spend your money on this shit, then God help you. If you're paying to see these broadcasts, God help you. Wake up. It's 2024.
I spend nothing, Moo.
Good for you.
I watch them online.
Good for you.
I don't spend anything.
Good for you.
I'm a Browns fan since 1963. And I'll continue to be.
I'm not a Browns fan anymore because of Jimmy Haslam. I'm done. I can't. I mean, you know that every decision he's going to make is going to be like this.
Well, he's going to be alive for the next 40 years. Get used to it.
Oh, yeah. That's why I'm not a fan anymore. I'm not going to support this in any way. I do this for the fun of it. I don't make any money off this.
Right.
If there was something that I could do, if there was
fan.
something within my power to get rid of Jimmy Haslam, I would do it, but I can't do that.
He could do like the longest yard, like Burt Reynolds, and come in for a play. And do that.
The other thing, I don't promote this program, and the reason is I don't want to promote the Cleveland Browns. This is a hobby for me. I've been broadcasting my whole life. This is just what I have fun doing. But it isn't like I don't even talk about the Guardians. And the reason that I don't talk about the Guardians is because people want to talk about the Browns. And if I talk about the Guardians, nobody tunes in at all. Right.
Just like the Castros, nobody tunes in for the Castros.
No, and they want to see me have a stroke every time Jared Allen decides he's going to not play in the playoffs and take a break. They just want to see me go apoplectic. There's an SAT word. And, you get to a point where it's just like with the Hugh Jackson thing. You stop caring. I just sat and watched this in a mundane kind of way, and I said, all right. So much for Sunday. And I'm going to finish up the program here, and I'm going to go for a walk outside. I'm sorry.
Did you think it was going to be a cakewalk in the beginning? I did.
No.
Oh, really?
Never a cakewalk. Nope.
Well, the way it started, I figured it wouldn't be like super comfortable, but and I don't know, the train just immediately derailed. It was the strangest thing.
Yeah. I don't understand. You brought him here. Who's you?
Well, yeah, we didn't do anything, Keith.
Yeah, fuck you, man. I didn't do that. You did it.
Jimmy Haslam called
no
up Mark
idea.
Steenbarger.
Right here, I mean, come on. You brought him here. So, hi, Hi, Deshaun. Yeah, Mark. Steenbarger. Yeah. Moohead. Yeah, right. Could you come to Cleveland,
Yeah,
please? We'll pay
what do
you
you think about Deshaun Watson?
Mr. Moohead, isn't this part of the segment where we get kind of used to after the first 4 weeks? We're like, who's getting fired? Who's on the hot seat?
Yeah.
This is our Black Monday.
Nothing new.
25 fucking years
Let's
strong.
make this
in Cleveland,
clear. I didn't bring him here. Jimmy Haslam brought him here, and we can't do anything about Jimmy Haslam, all right, except stop supporting him. So I state my case. No, I don't know what this is. We always do shit in reverse. It's like we never learned from our mistakes. Same person's making the decision. Second verse, same as the first, you know. Oh, here we go from Big Lurker. Miles said there's multiple things going on with his lower leg, and it's not just his feet bothering him. He added, that stuff is feeding into each other. Nothing's sitting right. And then he, without saying it, said, I'm done. I don't want to play. I don't want to play here anymore. I'm done.
Then he went and crashed his car again.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Doggy Bones. I've been tuning in for 19 years, and I predicted Moo would check out after 4 games this year. The only time I've checked out was Hugh Jackson. I did. After they brought him back and they went over, and after 12 games, I said, that's it. No more post-game halftime shows. I'm not doing this. I won't do it until he drowns in the lake.
Right? I literally, to this day, I still watch his videos from the year they went 0-16. And right around week 9, he's like, I can't wait till they go 0-16. And you just every week, it's
horrible. Yeah. Ah, God. Well, I mean, yeah, but you know, the wrong people, CO Dad, will get fired because Jimmy Haslam's making the decisions. He'll fire the wrong people. That's what he does for a living.
Who's the next head coach they should bring in so that he can get scrutinized?
Yeah, don't worry, we'll fix it in the draft. And at the same time, Bronx saying, let's talk draft. Yeah, we can get Derek Frisbee in here and he can talk about
I like when Hugh Jackson says we got to look at the tapes, like he's speaking from a third person.
You know, it's not that he's feeling the pain of old age. He's just hit the wall of being a Cleveland Brown and realizing never going anywhere. And he wants to go somewhere else. He'll get the surgery, which will end his season, and then he'll do everything he can to try to get the hell out of here. That's what's gonna happen. And here's more from Big Lurker. Playing with injuries, illness is everything because you have to do that if you're dedicated. You got to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, are you really about this? There you go.
Hey,
there you go.
Hey, Mr. Moohead, you remember 2 weeks before Hugh Jackson got fired when Jimmy Haslam was so pissed off? It was like 19 losses in a row in New Orleans. He sat on the sidelines with Hugh. He knew he was going to get fired. And I think he got fired after the Pittsburgh game, right? After the 2-5 start.
Yeah, I remember he was holding a noose.
Hey, Moo. I have an opinion about the game. And
really?
As far as adjustments go, what I would have done is probably run the same offense that New York did. Quick passes out of the backfield, just like they did. All right, that's for our offense. And as far as as far as defense, I would have pulled back the reins and let these guys sit back a little bit. We didn't have to rush this guy like we did. And therefore, get more guys out in the flat because we get burned so many times on these short passes, swing passes, week after week. That's what I would have done. It's a general statement as far as adjustments.
And thank you, Big Lurker, by the way. Thank you for being here every week with the quotes. I appreciate it, even though I think we all know what Stefanski's going to say. But it's more telling what Myles Garrett is saying. And, you know, are you really about this? He is ready to call it quits because it's demoralizing when you're giving up your body, shortening your life. So an idiot like Jimmy Haslam can make all this money. And, it's just wrong. I don't know why people play the game, to tell you the truth.
We're like a
So-
glutton for punishment. It's
so-
the same thing with UFC. Human cockfighting.
Yeah. Richard, it's true. The Guardians have a $106 million payroll, and the Yankees have a $350 million payroll. If the two teams run into each other in the playoffs, the Yankees will win. We all know that. But the Guardians at least have an understanding of what they need to do because they understand the personnel that they have. They have a certain payroll, so we get Lane Thomas and we don't get a bigger name, okay? But at the same time, we get a couple of pitchers. We take a chance on Cobb. We take a chance on Boyd, who had arm injuries. And those two men, well, Cobb has had a blister that he's been fighting, but in the times they've pitched, they're the ones who helped build and rebuild the morale of the team after the losing streak and has gotten us into the playoffs and to win our division.
Yeah.
That is everything,
And
because they know it starts with pitching. And what the Guardians front office did, I mean, it's easy to sit there and take a look at Class A and say, wow, that guy is really something. But you look at the guys like Tim Herron, who knew? I mean, guys who were performing inordinately well. I mean, Eli Morgan has actually done well this year, which is amazing. The only one is Sandlin, who's not doing well, and Barlow, who we got rid of because he wasn't doing well enough. But you look at Gaddis, and you just look right down the line at the people who are the setup men, and they understand that what money they have to spend, they got to do it on pitching because we can't afford the big boppers. We just can't afford that.
The Devil Rays used to be the same way.
I mean, so they know what it's about. And you can say, well, the Dolans are cheap, but at least they have a strategy and a plan. And look, I mean, 2 out of 3 years, they've made the playoffs. Now, they're not going to go very deep into the playoffs, but 2 out of 3 years, they've made it in. And they made it in with a rookie head coach, with a rookie manager, Stephen Vogt. He's led them to where they are, and players who were contributing at the most propitious moments, and a team that's actually happy for itself, plays together instead of the long faces of the Cleveland Browns, who are playing for an oppressive owner who just has a bad streak in him, a bad temper, and is malicious as a human being and is totally thoughtless. And he just knee jerks and makes the worst possible decisions. At least the Guardians know what they're doing and are being rewarded for it. That's the bottom line. So,
yeah, Moohead, I think this is the first time ever. Now I can finally understand. It's no matter who you bring in this organization, it's going to fall back on Jimmy Haslam.
sure.
He's just a shitty owner. It's just I've worked for companies that just had a shitty owner. It doesn't matter who you put there. Eventually, they're either going to get burned out. They're not going to like the system. And you could just see it by week 1 or 2. They're already just kind of giving up. And they're just like, you know what? I want out.
Yeah. I mean, it's if there's a plan, but let's be honest. Look at the White Sox. Oh, it can be way worse, folks.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. They're shooting for the New York Mets 120 loss record.
Oh, they're going to surpass it. They're on pace for 124, 125 losses.
Yeah, unbelievable. And
it won't be the worst, though. I think the Cleveland Spiders are ahead of them. The 99 Cleveland Spiders.
yeah, and Grady Sizemore would be like putting Vinny Barbarino as the manager of the team. What? I mean, this guy has no clue. But if you're trotting out a bad team like that, then, I mean, that's one thing. But, at least the Guardians brought up John Kenzie Noel he's been on and he's been off. And they've brought Mansardo back, who started off, and then he's gotten better, started showing some power, and they're doing enough with spirit defensively. They've got 2 catchers who can't hit above 200, but they're winning, and that's what matters. It's about winning, and I don't think Jimmy Haslam has a clue. He didn't win anything. He didn't win in the trucking business. He just acquired it from his father.
And then he ripped off a bunch of truck drivers.
That's what he did.
Yep. Not to mention the other stuff he didn't get caught with.
Well, DJ Brobot, who would you spend the money on?
Soto. He's available next year.
I mean, the fact of the matter is you don't bankrupt the team. And again, you're asking them to do the Watson thing.
Right.
And that's the wrong approach.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't one man who's going to win for you. It's a team. You got to have, it doesn't matter if by the time you get up to the plate, you're behind 4 runs in every game you play. You got to have pitching, starting pitching. You got to have relief pitching. I mean, why do you think the Kansas City Royals and the Minnesota Twins have gone to hell at the end of the season?
Yeah, we don't have fucking pitching.
That's it. The bullpen has died for those teams. Totally died.
The Twins, the fucking owner, they made the playoffs last year, won in the first round, and the owner responded by cutting the payroll in fucking half.
Now,
you got to spend money over multiple players in order if you want to win in all the sports, period.
It's not a thrifty business. Wable, it's not the fucking team I hate. It's Jimmy Haslam I hate. He is the source of all the losing. And I just don't want to see him. I don't want to hear from him. I don't want to hear his right hand man, DePodesta. I don't want to hear from these people. So it isn't the team. These guys on the front line, Conklin and Batonio, and these guys have given their limbs for the city of Cleveland. Don't hate the team. Hate the owner. That's the way to do it. God. Oh, yeah, and that's right. And screw using public dollars for a new stadium. That's God almighty.
You're running out of gas, are you?
I'm just reading this. Hard to blame Haslam. What do you mean it's hard to blame him? He's responsible. He's the man at the top. He's making bad decisions consistently.
Well, what about the input he's getting?
The what?
The input. You don't think he bases his decisions on the input?
Look, do you really think that Jimmy Haslam hires people so he can listen to their ideas?
Nope.
Yes.
Yes, man.
Well, then you're foolish if you believe that. You're foolish.
Then I am. I'm foolish.
Yeah, I mean, no, he doesn't listen to anybody.
I watch what's in between the lines, and to go beyond what you're discussing, I don't understand that part. Is he really responsible for today's loss?
For who?
For today's loss.
Yes, he's responsible for the degradation of the organization. Jimmy Haslam doesn't choose the players on the field. Give me a break. He is the one who hires the people who choose these lousy, non-productive players in the draft year after year. We have no good young players.
Fact. You're putting him in the Jerry Jones scenario. Jerry Jones, I think, is very responsible for who he drafts. I don't think Haslam's that way. I don't.
Or maybe
No.
he's just not involved enough.
Nobody's
right.
going to tell Jimmy Haslam what to do. Jimmy Haslam ran his last time to get Johnny Manziel, and he
Yeah.
jammed that down people's throats. And if they
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
do it, he was going to fire them.
Yeah,
All of
yeah,
the
he
stuff.
did.
I mean, and that's who he is.
Yeah,
And I just, but he does choose the players who are on the field because he lets incompetent people make those decisions.
But Muhead, don't you think he's doing the same thing with Watson? Like, if you don't start him, you're going to get fired. Like, maybe he's not publicly saying that, but he's kind of saying, "Hey, look,
believe me, what I'm hoping for isn't going to happen. But I don't want to see people get hurt for no reason. I don't want to see that. Some people are vindictive and they say, I want justice. I want Deshaun Watson to get hurt. I'm not like that. It's like you go on, you move on, and you do whatever it is that you do because you couldn't get it done here and nobody could get it done here. That's the bottom line. And right now, with what they're spending and what they have, the Guardians are doing a far better job than the Cleveland Browns organization. Jerry Jones is better than Jimmy Haslam because he's at least proven he can win. So I'm just about,
Hey, so Muhead, Schwartz, do you think Schwartz is going to get fired at the end of the year?
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
I sure hope so. Yeah. He's, mentally mordant. He is just not thinking.
But the only problem is, Muhead, if let's say you fire all those guys, I don't know if any head coach with any impeccable record is going to want to go over there,
0 points in the second half.
Well,
He's doing a fine job.
Well,
I think.
Let's see. Yeah, clean toilets in his truck stops. Yeah.
No, he ripped off the person who was cleaning his toilet at the truck stop.
Yeah. Well, I think I've been on the air long enough here. I've dedicated more than an hour to this, and I'm afraid if I continue, John is going to end up hacking a lung up from smoking 14 packs of cigarettes during the program. So,
or falling asleep.
I'm just trying to save somebody's life here.
Sounds good.
Hey, tomorrow I'll have a different thing to say, perhaps, or I got to do something because it's going to become a droning kind of thing. So, there will be tomorrow's day after show, as Maureen McGovern once said, there's got to be a morning after. Oh, God. And this feels like the Poseidon adventure right now, folks. But, and Big Lurker, I will see you next week too. And thanks so much for helping out. And thanks for everybody for participating in the program. And I will see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Until then, hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Cry in your beer.